2024 was a year of mmany things. The greatest country album of all time released, the most iconic rap beef of my time happened, followed up by the most legendary run we've seen from a rapper, shout out K-Dot, and it was the fearless year of Shadow. Shadow the Hedgehog got his first Spotlight game in 19 years, and we ended the year with his big screen film debut, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. All things considered, 2024 was the best year the Sonic franchise has had since the 90s, and I bet you can argue it was the best period. Sonic X Shadow Generation sold 1 million copies the day it released, and Sonic Movie 3 was a box office smash, staying #1 over Disney's Mufasa, the prequel to the live-action Lion King, for 2 weeks. Shadow has motion like no other Sonic character. But despite all the good that happened to the franchise and the fun we had in 2024, Sonic fans are mad at Shadow? They're calling my boy greedy, saying they're sick and tired of him, and blaming him for us not seeing other characters. I know, and I think they know as well what the truth of the matter really is. But for the sake of discussion, let's rewind through all of Shadow the Greedhog's mainline game appearances to see what led to this mindset. Like the video if you're a Shadow fan, or if you hate him. Subscribe for more. Check out my music channel, Mikeywf, where I have plenty of Sonic songs to enjoy. Like,
At my breaking point, I know what's right, always fighting for it, promise to keep.
And follow my socials linked in the description. Now, let's go to 2001. Shadow made his debut in the beloved game Sonic Adventure 2. He immediately became a fan favorite character. And are we surprised? Just look at him. He's objectively got one of the coolest character designs in history, and he's made to be the dark rival that plays like the other coolest character design in history. Back when Sonic was that nigga, now he's that. Shadow was so beloved that Sonic Team went back on their decision of killing him off for good at the end of the game. They brought him back in the literal next console game, Sonic Heroes, in 2003. Side note, no wonder Heroes released how it is. I thought it came out everywhere in 2004, not just the States. That was barely 2 years between SA2 and Heroes. Anyways, Shadow is back. Next up, Shadow the Hedgehog in 2005. The first real attempt at branching out the Sonic franchise in a decade. We had Tails Adventure, Tales of Sky Patrol, Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, and Knuckles Chaotix in the 90s. And look who they decided to try again with first. Shadow 05 was pretty bad in every regard. Minus giving us I Am All of Me, the visual of Shadow with a gun, because the gameplay was mediocre, and putting him on a motorcycle. But despite it kind of being the start of Sonic's almost demise, Shadow remained popular. The swearing definitely helped keep him around memes of the early internet, but that might have been a bad thing if you asked a Sega executive.
Where's that damn 4th Chaos Emerald?
Now we have the big one. Sonic 06 released the following year, and Shadow was one of the 3 main characters of the game. 2006 was the best year ever for everything but Sonic. I believe this is when the "we don't like Sonic's annoying friends" crowd was at their loudest. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, I was 7 and 8 then, not on the internet, blissfully unaware Sonic was being torn to shreds. After 06, Shadow wouldn't be relevant to a console game until Sonic and the Black Knight in 2009. Technically, Black Knight doesn't even meet the criteria I said earlier, as it's a spin-off game on the Wii. But I believe Shadow as Sir Lancelot warrants inclusion. He's a boss, a playable character in the second half of the game, and the super boss of the post-game. Let's take a pit stop since we've wrapped up Shadow's first decade in gaming. From 2001 to 2009, Shadow only appears in 4 mainline games, plus Sonic and the Black Knight. Now we can throw in the handhelds, as I'm of the opinion that they are mainline Sonic games, since they add material that matters to the canon of the series. That would include Sonic Battle in 03, Sonic Rivals in 06, Sonic Rivals 2 in 07, and Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood in 09. I know Chronicles isn't canon, but it's a game Shadow's active in the story in, so let's just go with it. Bringing us to 9 story-relevant appearances. For someone so popular, I'd say they underutilized Shadow in the 2000s. He was a major recurring character in Sonic X, and of course he was in the Olympic Games and Ryder spin-off games. But the way people talk about him, they make it sound like he's been the player 2 since he debuted. He completely missed the Advanced Trilogy and Rush Duology. Mr. Screenhog hasn't been hogging up that much screen. On to my least favorite time to be a Sonic fan, the 2010s. Shadow appears as a rival boss in Sonic Generations in 2011. Then in good old 2014, Another Year Life was great for everything but Sonic. He's a boss fight in Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. Here's where I think the haters get a crumb to stand on, cause Shadow has 0 reason to be in the game, other than marketing to get more Sonic fans to buy this steaming pile of poo. His fight doesn't even make sense. He shows up to throw hands then leaves. I think he was supposed to be mind controlled or something, but the dub I played the game game didn't convey it as such, so I'm judging what I had. Rise of Lyric isn't a mainline game, but it's a console game like Black Knight, so I'm counting it, even though he's painfully irrelevant. He's like product placement in a music video. And in the longest stretch so far, Shadow's next appearance wouldn't be until Sonic Forces in 2017. Man, Sonic just can't have a good year when everybody else is, including himself! 2017 was the best year in gaming history. Forces had to shoot Sonic Mania's goodwill in the foot. Alright, back to Shadow. He was finally playable in a mainline Sonic game for the first time since 2006, 11 years prior. I guess Shadow fans showed out for his 10 seconds of screen time in Rise of Lyric, cause Sega decided to do the same thing again, but they gave him 5 minutes of screen time this time. It is worth noting that Shadow got his own extremely short campaign in Forces. The first time they let a character who wasn't Sonic have anything in a mainline modern Sonic game all decade. Unless we count Sonic 4 Episode 2 and Episode Metal, but why would we? Aside from spin-off racers and mobile apps, Shadow only appeared 3 times this whole decade, and was only a playable character once. Tails, Amy, and Knuckles were playable more than him because of the Sonic Boom games, plus Sonic Mania for Tails and Knuckles. Mighty and Ray, someone find my boys, were playable the same amount as him! Fucking hell, even Styx was more playable than Shadow this decade. I hope you'll see what I'm getting at, but we've got a few more years to go over. We're in the 2010s now, and we gotta start with a non-mainline game, cause guess what? They've only released 1.5 mainline Sonic games this decade, and Shadow ain't in it. Shadow appears in The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog in 2023, is a costume classic Sonic can wear in Sonic Superstars, and joins Sonic's Dream Team as a playable character, all a part of 2024's Year of Shadow. We already discussed Sonic X Shadow Generations. However, I think it's worth pointing out that the game has sold 3 million copies since release, which is great for a Sonic remaster with new content. That only gives us 2 playable Shadow instances this decade so far, and you have to have Apple Arcade for one of them. I also haven't been counting apps, but since Dream Team plays like a modern Sonic game, you can count it or not, whichever suits your agenda. That leaves Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, which is where I think people actually got fed up with Shadow. The Year of Shadow marketing campaign was a complete success, and I don't think I've seen Sonic have that much positive PR in my life, especially after almost dying twice. So naturally in business, when something works, you keep working it. Shadow was all over CrossWorlds marketing. In fact, the game was revealed with Shadow. This was where I saw people starting to get upset, cause God forbid Sonic fans be happy for a few months. I understand to a degree because a new Sonic racing game being marketed like a mainline Sonic game includes extreme gear. Naturally, all us Sonic heads, including myself, are like, this is the perfect opportunity to bring Jet and the Babylon Rogues to the forefront. And they didn't. Jet was part of most of the marketing. In fact, he and Wave hosted a few Jet stream videos on YouTube leading up to the game's release. But then we get our Sonic animation that comes with every new game, and guess who's the lead character? Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, I'm gonna be real. Babylon Rogues fans have the right to feel a type of way about this. This was the perfect time to showcase Sonic and Jet's rivalry, which we haven't seen with good production value since 2008. To rub salt in the wound, Shadow takes the Babylon Rogues out early in the video. I get why they're mad. Tails and Amy fans too a little bit, yeah, they didn't do jack shit in the short. Meanwhile, my goofy ass is ecstatic and grateful that Silver got to appear in one of these for 3 seconds. This is a theory of mine, but I think CrossWorlds was supposed to be part of the Year of Shadow, but got delayed to 2025. That's why the animation stars him, and why the game was introduced with him. That's just my conjecture though, it's probably marketing. It isn't just CrossWorlds or the animation though. Shadow's been a part of most ads and collabs the series has done since 2024. And guys, you're gonna have to get over it. Put down the pitchforks and hear me out. Or don't and tell me how wrong I am in the comments. Have you liked the video yet? There's 2 ways to look at this, and they both ultimately benefit what we all want. More focus on Sonic side characters. Shadow was not only the face of Sega's most successful marketing campaign in 20 years, if not ever, but the driving force of Sonic Movie 3. That movie made almost $500 million, and more people that aren't typically into Sonic were starting to love Shadow. Sega is a company. They gotta do what sells, and thankfully, what's selling this time is the key to Sonic's extended cast. Shadow isn't even my favorite Sonic character. He's top 5 or 6, but he's not at the top. Of course I want Silver to get his own year, and I've wanted him to get his own game for almost 20 years. But Sega's not gonna take that chance without seeing it can be done without Sonic first. Shadow has become the definitive player 2 of Sonic. Hell, if you ask me, he's even more popular than Sonic himself. We need him to be seen and succeed. Yes, you hater, need him to see more of your favorite character. They already confirmed that the Chaotix Case Files audio drama series only happened because of how successful the Year of Shadow was. That series gave Team Chaotix a much needed shine, used a variety of Sonic characters outside of the usual Team Sonic, gave Vanilla her first voice since Sonic X, gave Gemroll, Tangle, and Whisper their first voices ever, and reintroduced Infinite after his supposed death in Forces. All thanks to Shadow, who by the way, wasn't even in the series. We know the VAs were cast for that, give or take, a year ago. So who knows what else has been in the works behind the scenes. Shadow winning means they all win. These things take time. I know this isn't a particularly patient fandom, ironic considering what rushing things has done to this series, but y'all gotta learn. I have never been so close to Silver being relevant, period. I will not let y'all take this from me. I don't want a repeat of the 2010s again, I promise y'all. It's either support Shadow, or we go back to only Sonic, Tails, and Eggman with the occasional line from Amy and Knuckles. That's the lesson Sega will take from that. Shadow isn't stopping anyone else's shine, he's leading the way for them to shine. So let's support him. If you don't, I suggest you find something else to like, cause I'm willing to bet Shadow's getting his own movie and another game in 2028. If you're sick of him now, stay on bed rest. Amy and Metal Sonic fans are literally getting their time next. The movie marketing hasn't started yet, which is, if y'all haven't noticed, the key factor behind all the Shadow push. When a character's in a movie, they will be pushed. I've said all that to say, Shadow ain't even been around that much or enough stuff for y'all to be this mad. He's had 9 major appearances in the 2000s, 2 to 3 in the 2010s, and really 1 in the 2020s, but you can include CrossWorlds and Dream Team if you want. I know Twitter's only for mad people, Sonic fans especially, but sheesh! The Shadow Renaissance was only 2 years ago and y'all are acting like it's been going on for 10. Imagine Nintendo fans complaining about them using Luigi. Y'all are so damn entitled it's ridiculous. I hope y'all enjoyed the video and took something from it. I've been meaning to make more long-form Sonic content for ages, and this was a great topic to start with. Let me know any other things I should yap about, and tell me how you feel about this whole situation in the comments. There's a video on your screen you can enjoy until we meet again. Bye y'all!